Mic here. There we go. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone at home. This is our Bee competition night. We'll get underway. First, let me get set up here. We'll do our announcements. Let me bring up. Okay, and bring down the lights. Okay, upcoming meetings. Next Friday will be photojournalism. That's not a competition. Remember, you could enter up to 5 images that tell a story. They don't have to they don't have to connect to each other. They could just tell separate stories. But again, it's not so much news photography. It's anything that tells a story. Photojournalism, and the deadline for that, it's a digital entry, is usually 2 days before the competition as well. So that you'll find on our website there. The week after, we have, again, one of my favorite presenters is going to do a Zoom presentation, Joe Edelman. And I know I said this last week and the week before, but Joe Edelman got my attention years ago when he did one of the things for the club called Critiques Suck. And that immediately got and he's just a real motivated guy. He's really, really good. So he does a great Zoom, and he's going to be talking February 23rd on do-it-yourself photo accessories on a budget. Should be very interesting. The clubhouse will be open. So again, it's a Zoom presentation. And remember, our Zoom presentations are not out on YouTube, but the day after the Zoom presentations, I put them up on our website, our members only, the content section too. So if you're not able to attend that night or on Zoom, you could, in the days afterwards, just sign into the website and review it there. So that's February 23rd. March 1st is a creative competition, will be print. So the deadline is that evening. March 8th, and March 1st being a print competition, which means that the judges judge live here. It takes them about 40 minutes, so we have to fill the time there as well. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be talking that night for about a half hour on photographing the Kingdom of Jordan as well. Photographic tips, how to, equipment used, this type of thing as well. So that'll be interesting as well, and that's just before the creative competition gets underway. And then March 8th will be another B competition, which will be projection. That's digital submission. Our next SIG meeting, March 7th, first Thursday of every month with Dave Bush. This next topic is going to be continuous shooting, which is not only the burst mode, but time-lapse photography, dynamic range optimization, everything you could do with multiple exposures, how our modern-day cameras do that, how you set it up for that. It should be an interesting talk as well, and Dave will go through all that. And then again, we break up into groups, camera-specific, to talk about individual brand problems, and Nikon's, Canons, Olympus, Sony, that type of thing as well. Because of our blizzard, our nature competition, which was a print, has been rescheduled to March 22nd. So those of you who were going to enter that one and it was canceled that night, that is rescheduled. It's on our calendar. Just check the calendar on our website. Darkroom Door, which is our twice a year it's our glossy publication. All of those issues you'll find on our website under the newsletter section, and you could see them all. Again, that's twice a year that comes out, and articles are needed, areas of expertise, special techniques, unusual travel experiences, anything you have. Just just tell us you're interested to info@clevelandphoto.org, and I will put you in touch with the editor then, who'll arrange with you exactly how to get that done. Reminder again, May 3rd, first ever phone competition. It's not part of the competition season, but it's going to be an actual competition. So start, again, getting some phone pictures put aside. It'll be a really fun night. I'm expecting a lot of entries then. So give it a try. So I'm putting it up now only so you start to get some pictures. Upcoming competition survey. The club is considering some changes to the whole competition structure for next season as well. So as a result, and they are complex, but they're considering it. So they want the club input. So an email is going to be going out to all members as well. So if you're a member, you'll get an email. It'll give you the link to sign into the survey. So when you see that, again, we'd appreciate your input on that. Free photographic magazines, not Women's Day, People magazine, but I had to get some image here too. We've always had some in the past, but Bill Keaton was nice enough to donate a ton of black and white, photographic magazines dealing with black and white. Again, and even though some of these are older, several years old, the images never are out of date, and it just gives you ideas. They're free for the taking. They're all on the back wall there against the back monitor. There it is. So just help yourself. You see anything you like, just take one, take a bunch home, and that's it. You don't have to return them again. So again, it's a way of members just helping members there. And final announcement, remember all of our public meetings like this one are on our YouTube channel live and archived. You just go to our homepage of the website on the upper right corner, click on the YouTube icon. When you get to the channel, just click on live and you will see all of our lectures there. The Zoom meetings are then put on our website, the members only content. So with this, as the judges are judging the B competition, we're lucky enough tonight to have Eric Wethington from Dodd Camera, who's going to talk with us on photo accessories tonight. So without further ado, let me turn up the lights and turn it over to Eric.
Hey, I'm going to turn these back on. As long as I turn it on the right way. Maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay. Get it so that camera can see me, so all the people online that are watching. Hi, I'm Eric. I'm from Dodd Camera, but I'm also a club member. I've actually been a member, I think, at least 12 years. And I've been on the board, and I'm currently head of the people competition. So if you come people competition night, usually I'm the one that's kind of running around making sure I got the helpers and stuff like that. That's a little bit about me. For those of you that don't know, obviously Dodd Camera. We have 2 locations in Northeast Ohio. We have 5 total. I am currently stationed at the Cleveland location. We also have a store in Solon for you Eastsiders. Unfortunately, nothing on the west side at the moment. We also have one in Dayton, which just moved, I think, from Austin Landing to Spring Creek or something like that, from like west suburb to a north suburb. Check our website because I don't remember exactly which suburb that is. Cincinnati and Chicago if you're ever in Chicago. And if you've never been to the Cleveland store, pretty much we do, I can't say everything, but we've got a in-house photo lab. We can facilitate repair of your equipment if it breaks. If you have a broken filter or sensor cleaning, I can do that in-house. So usually just a couple hours, or drop it off, come back, pick it up the next day. The Cleveland store also has our warehouse, Amazon, eBay, all that fun stuff. We kind of control through that store. And that's that for Dodd. The competition that got postponed a couple weeks ago, I was supposed to do part 1 of this. This is actually part 2. Part 1 is camera bodies, lenses, and flashes. Oh my. So since that got moved to March 22nd, I'll be doing that one on March 22nd. Hopefully I'll have a body or 2 from each of the major manufacturers: Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Olympus, Pentax. Maybe some cool lenses from Tamron or Sigma also. Flashes, on-camera flashes, and maybe some little video panels. I did bring a few lights with me today, and I'll while they're judging, I'm I'm going to try to show you some stuff that maybe you did not realize existed, or did not realize that there are variations, and maybe you can use the standard variation, or maybe the mid-level or the higher grade is more for what you need. Okay. I'll do the lights last. For those of you that shoot, ooh, I gotta watch that cable. For those of you that shoot studio, we have gaff tape, also known as theater tape. Acts the same as duct tape, but does not leave any sticky residue. So if you put it on carpet, bury your cables so nobody trips on it, pull it off your cables, it's not tacky like duct tape is. If I need to tape down my white seamless paper to do a headshot, pull it off the carpet, pull it off the wall. I mean, if it sits there for probably about a month, maybe you'll get some paint flecks off your wall, so don't leave it on that long. And then we have smaller ones that are colorful. When I shared a studio with 6 other photographers, which got disbanded because of COVID, I tagged all my gear with a colored gaff, so that way I knew what was mine. And if someone borrowed it, say, hey, I need one of your light stands for a shoot, it's like, cool, just make sure it gets put back, and I could always count how many stands I had. I'm not going to hand those around. I might hand some of this other stuff around, but actually, because of the blizzard, we carry the ProMaster photo gloves, which, as you can see, they're kind of magnetized. But the cool thing is, this is version 2. Personally, I've got version 1. You got a little memory card pocket, so after you shoot something, you probably even maybe fit a small battery in there. But I can reveal my tips and my thumbs, so now I have access to camera controls and touch screens without like taking the glove entirely off. And the magnets usually hold pretty good. So, and just hand those around. I will say that the sizes tend to run a little small. So if your hands normally might be large, get extra large. If they're normally extra large, take a look at the double X. But go with whatever fits. I've got the mediums, which are probably a little tight in the fingers for me. So I probably should have gotten a large. A lot of laptops and a lot of desktops have built-in card readers, but just in case, we do carry various styles of card readers. This is a multi-reader. I'm using this one myself. It also gives you 3 USB ports for the one that you're going to use up. Okay, so it's also a hub. I tend to keep my my printer, my scanner, and my joystick plugged into this, where my external hard drives go straight to the computer. I don't know if I'd send a external hard drive through this just in case this fails while it's transferring. It might get a little twitchy. They start $15 to $40, depending upon if it's a single card or a multi-reader, whether it's standard USB 2 like this one, or USB 3 or USB-C for Macs. Canned atmosphere. For those of you who like to do fun photo shoots or little video shoots, you can add a little bit of a mist to your shoot. Let's say if you're doing candles and kind of something kind of moody, gothic, you can have a little spritz of mist going across. Not as dense as a smoke machine, but smoke machines also tend to hover down. I can let it and it'll slowly creep down. If you use a lot of it in the closed-in space, you will get this weird taste in your mouth. I burned 3 cans of this. Memory cards. Of course, I don't know how much time I have because I don't know how many entries were entered. Okay. So I've got memory cards from ProMaster, SanDisk, Delkin. We also carry Lexar, ProGrade, and Sony. For those of you that just do standard photos, the standard memory cards that you find everywhere, Walmart, Kmart, whatever brand they are, should totally work. The difference between your standard ones and some of the other ones is the speed. So this guy's maximum speed's about 90 to 100 megs a second, and its minimum is 30. Okay. If I'm doing a still photo here, a still photo there, I'm at a family vacation, no big deal. If I'm shooting rapid fire bursts because I'm at a Cleveland Browns football game, this guy will buffer out at you. If I'm shooting 4K video, this guy will buffer out on you after about 2 minutes. We go a little faster. This one actually comes with a card reader. Maximum speed is now 170. Its minimum is still 30. SanDisk went a little faster. Max 200. Again, minimum 30. For those of you that have 36 megapixels or higher, or like to do RAW plus JPEG or 4K video, then you get into the cine lines or performance lines, or I think Lexar calls them the gold lines or the diamond. Max speed now 300, minimum 90. So this guy's minimum speed is faster than this guy's maximum speed. Okay, so again, if you like to do that burst stuff, this guy should, do your 30 shots, and I'm not sitting here waiting 30 seconds. It's maybe I'm waiting 5 seconds. Okay. If anybody wants to glance at them, I'll send some stuff around that way in a minute. Now, those of you that use other cards, a lot of the newer mirrorless cards start using CF Express. Yes, they're more expensive than SD because these guys have not been out that long. However, your difference is your max speed is 1700 versus 300 on SD. This guy's write speed is 1300, and I think minimum you're 1000. So this guy is going to overclock anything that's in an SD. Lexar has one, even 8K video, RAW plus JPEG on a 50 megapixel A7R Mark V, and burst mode. Okay, these guys will go like, bzz, give me more, bzz, give me more. You should not ever buffer out. I'm just gonna hand those around, and not all cameras take those. Not all cameras take those. So just pay attention to which one your camera's using. Sticking with the memory card holders. If I were to probably sift through, I sifted through that bag earlier today. I had about 6 different memory cards lying loose. I found my memory card case, and I put them in there nicely. There's hard cases if you are a little abusive with your gear, or there's softer cases if you just want to wrap it around, shove it in your pocket. If you only have 1 or 2 cards, maybe not a big deal. If you've got lots of cards like I've collected over the years, yeah. In fact, where did I put it? Yeah, I'm not sure where I put it. It's probably in here someplace. Okay. Oh, does anybody here print at home for like competition nights and stuff like that? 1, 2, 3. Okay. How many of you use Dot or any other printing service? I assume most everybody else. Okay. If you print at home, the 2 major types of printers I like are Epson and Canon. HP does a nice job, but I'm not as familiar with them. If you're going to print at home, when it comes to what inks your system has, make sure your printer has at least 5 colors plus 1 black and white. If it's an all-in-one, it might only have 3 colors plus your black and white, and it can't do the pastel-y colors quite as good, like skin tones, like sunset oranges and stuff like that. So try to make sure you got at least 5 plus 1 black. My Canon printer, I think, has 5 plus 3 black and white, so my black and whites actually look pretty good. But if you do your own printing, we do carry various types of paper. Pretty universal with Canon and Epson printers. Hahnemühle makes a natural line made from, this one's hemp. They make an agave, they make a bamboo. Not all papers are the same. Some are slightly gray, some are slightly off-white, maybe warm tone. Um, some are bright white, and that can affect your image. So when you go to print, make sure that you're at least paying attention. As, hey, I'm doing a sunset. Maybe I want the paper that's slightly more warm. It might kick an extra boost in that sunset colors. Okay, but if I'm doing people, maybe it's going to give you, like someone has a suntan. We carry ProMaster, pretty universal. It's kind of more of like an eggshell white versus bright white. Epson. Epson printers love Epson paper. Canon printers do not like Epson paper. If you use Epson paper in a Canon printer, in Photoshop or in your print menu, set the print's brightness. The way I do it is in Photoshop, I add one more layer after I'm all done. Curves, take the midtones, throw them up by about 15, 20 points. Turn it off to edit, turn it on to print. And that should adjust for how dark this prints. I do like Epson's luster paper. That's why I let you know about that. And then ink press, pretty universal, pretty consistently white. This is their metallic paper, so it has a little bit of a different sheen to it. I actually like the metallic glossy versus the metallic satin, but the sheen on it looks more like an aluminum foil type of a sheen. Not silver, but it definitely has that different type of look to it. If you ever stop in Dodge, we've got some sample photos. You can see what they look like. Oh, cleaning stuff. Cleaning cloths and lens pens. A lens pen is basically a dry cleaning agent. Lens cloth, you can use the same lens cleaning solution, same stuff that I use. Or if you wear glasses, same stuff your eye doctor just gave you. I've got probably 4 or 5 bottles of that at home. Any optical cleaner is fine. Don't use a glass cleaner. Don't use Glass Plus, Mr. Fantastic. The chemicals in those are a little too much abrasive for the coatings on your lenses. So use an optical cleaner. You can use any one of like a microfiber cloth. This is more of a soft chamois. This is actually the one that I have, but microfiber cloths are fine. Try not to use your shirt, but if you have to, I mean, I understand it. But then there's also the lens pen. Cleaning again. And how many of you have ever had your sensor cleaned? How many of you don't know what that is? Okay, so basically if you're taking photos and you're shooting at a relatively high f-stop, let's say f8 or higher, and you start seeing black specks on your photos, same spot every single photo, your sensor's got dust on it. It needs to be cleaned. Either A, I can show you how to do it. Stop in the Dodds, I'll sell you the supplies and I'll show you how to do it, and that way you've got the supplies. Or B, you pay Dodds and we'll do it for you. There are swabs that are specifically sized for your sensor, and there are specific solution you can get. This is Photographic Solutions. This is a double-sided swab from Delkin. I've used both. This just happens to be what's in my bag right now. So I always have at least one swab with me. Well, we'll go with the filters. Okay. How many people use filters, clear protection filters? Some probably do, some probably don't. I understand both sides. General rule of thumb is don't put a cheap filter in front of a good piece of glass. You're not going to put a $20 protection filter in front of your $1,500 lens. Yes, totally agree. However, some of us are klutzes, and there are clear protection filters, there are polarizing filters, there are neutral density, and I also brought a solar filter with me. So difference between the filters, standard UV, optimized for film cameras, Digital is not susceptible to UV haze like film was. A little bit more susceptible to the infrared spectrum. But if you have a UV filter, the UV coating's really not doing anything because digital sensors can't even see it. But the biggest thing is when you had these on a film camera, if you ever shot film, there's a shiny side and a flat side. You always shot against the flat side. No big deal. Film didn't care. Problem is digital sensors care. Digital sensors are shiny. If I put a shiny filter in perfect alignment with a shiny sensor in the right situations, you can catch a ghost reflection. Took about 2 years for someone to point one out to me. If you like to do birthday candles, you like to do street lights, pinpoints of light, there's a really good chance if you don't have a good filter, you'll see the ghost repetition. Okay. So that's where you start getting into the digital protection filters. It's not UV. It's coded to help prevent that effect. If you want that effect, sure, it can be kind of cool. So these are coded to help prevent that. Then you go into the HDX series, which now has some more extra coatings, which basically is kind of like Rain-X on your car window, repels dust and moisture. I was in England and Norway, not this past October, but 2022. And if you think Cleveland Lake effect is bad, no. I mean, it was probably rain 14 out of the 16 days we were there. But our last excursion was to Stonehenge. And the nice thing is it was a misty, kind of a blowy rain, but nobody else was there except for maybe the 3 busloads they trucked in from the cruise ship. So maybe 60, 70 people. I had clean views of Stonehenge, and I'm shooting away. I got a couple photos if you want to see it. Cloudy sky, but the difference between these two filters, my wife had this and I had this, is halfway through when we started changing our angle, the rain started hitting the front of the lenses. She started getting sunspots on her photos. I never did. Okay, so if you like to shoot, or not necessarily like to shoot, but are caught shooting in those foul weather environments or very dusty environments, construction yards and stuff like that, I would consider going this route rather than the standard. It's also pretty resistant to permanent markers. If I put a permanent marker on these, it's pretty much permanent. Permanent marker on this for 3 days, I can clean it out with any issue. After that, I need some elbow grease and a lot of solution, but I can do it. Yes, we've got all sorts of sizes. We just need to know what size filter your lens takes. Then we get into variable neutral densities. Not quite as dark as a solar filter, so don't think these are solar filters. But if you like to do the nice, the silky, smoothie waterfall shot in the bright sunny afternoon, you got too much light, you need to block some of it down. This is the standard one. This goes from 1.5 to 8 stops. This is the extreme one, which starts at 5 stops and goes to 12. So if you really want to do some cool stuff, see, I had a 10 stop. I was taking an advanced class at Tracy like 8 years ago, and one of my projects was making people disappear. I went down to Public Square, middle of the afternoon, put on a 10-stop neutral density filter, thunked down my tripod, did a 30-second exposure. Turned it black and white. It looked like the place was abandoned because nobody was standing still for long enough to even show up on my photo. A couple photos, I did have a ghost car as they were kind of parked long enough or at a stoplight long enough, so I was like there for a better part of an hour before I got like half a dozen that I really liked. But if you want to do like making people disappear, then you want to do the longer exposures. If you get a cheap variable neutral density filter at the right spot, they should free spin. These don't. These actually will do a hard lock. Reason why they do a hard lock is those that free spin at the right point, at your darkest point, you can actually get a weird X pattern. Google it. Variable neutral density, X pattern. It's weird. It's just your filters just get perfectly lined up. So the HDX versions have a hard lock, so you will never get that. I actually have an infrared filter. It does the same effect. It's weird. This is a solar filter. This is a 16.6 stop neutral density. If you're going to shoot before or right after totality, have one of these on your lens. Because if you don't, you're pointing your camera up to the sun, two things are going to happen. One, if I'm looking through a traditional DSLR, lights coming through, tightening up, coming through the prism, right into my eye, I am basically doing cataract surgery on my eye. Don't do it. If you have a mirrorless camera or doing live view, don't do it. Because now you've got that light coming through, hitting your sensor, burning your sensor. So the best way to do it is have your camera pointed in the general vicinity of the sun with something in front of it, a piece of cardboard, I don't care. Something in front of it. Get it kind of lined up. Lift it up. With a traditional SLR, that light's coming out your back view. Take a white piece of paper, see what your view is. Watch how that moon's going to start to cover the sun. Because it's not hitting anything important. It's hitting a mirror, it's hitting a prism. You're safe. Start shooting using that piece of paper back here as your framer. Okay. With a mirrorless camera, that's always tapping your sensor. Viewfinder, live view, even with the camera turned off, light is coming through at your sensor or at its protective curtain and basically magnifying glass down to the ground, and you can start burning things. So be very, very careful. Conceal your lens before you're ready to shoot. Pop it up, take your shots, drop it down, okay? Now, this is what you would use before or after totality. During totality, that 3.5 minutes, you can take this thing off and shoot. Because now the moon's blocking the sun. But once that moon starts moving away, put this thing back on it or turn your camera away. There's lots of articles out there. There's lots of people have different suggestions. You can try shooting through welder's masks. The catch between welder's masks is that they are typically tinted, typically greenish. So you might get a greenish cast to your photo. There are other brands besides Nissi. Personally, my wife has a 58 millimeter Hoya one. Okay. I don't necessarily care about which brand as long as it's I'll call it a prominent brand. Nissi, Tiffin, Hoya, ProMaster doesn't make it, so don't worry about it. B+W or Heliopan, those are gonna be really expensive. But if you're gonna try to get your best photo, shoot through an optical solar filter, not like a Mylar wrapper type thing, because that's gonna affect your image. If you're just viewing through it, okay. But if you're gonna shoot through it, I'd rather be shooting through like a glass one. We also have protectors for your back LCD screen. Okay, just like protection filters for your front, this is basically a protector for your back. I'm going to say 90% of people don't use them. That's fine. It does allow touchscreen to go through it, but I will say the reason why I brought this is about 3 weeks ago, we had someone come in, dropped her camera, big old crack, and at first, it was one of the other guys started helping her out. It's like, oh, this thing's, $200 to $300 repair, which is common. And I'm going like, ooh, wait a minute. Pulled it off and says, no, it's not. $25 replacement. Now, if you're moderately careful with your gear, and I'm going to say I'm moderately careful, but my stuff does have some battle scars from being knocked around. Maybe you don't need this, but maybe you do need the clear filter. If you are klutzy, okay. I'm not trying to act like used car sims, like you need this. No, it depends upon your style. Okay. Those of you that use, any questions so far, anything? I think I'm rattling fast because, yes,
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure if you use a solar filter.
Yes.
Say a mirrorless or a Barricam for the solar shoot, on a blade. Are you able to look through the viewfinder without glasses on, or do you still have to wear the protective lens
if you've got a solar filter on
with a solar filter? Correct.
and you're looking through the glasses, that's now like 30, that's going to be very, very dark. One or the other.
But you can look through the viewfinder
Yeah.
as long as you've got the solar filter on and it'll protect you.
I wouldn't like stare through it, but to check your framing, sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so those of you that use, yes.
Can you use the lens cleaning solution on your sensor? Don't spray it in there. but-
You spraying the swab, I don't see why not, because that is an optical cleaner, and basically you're not cleaning sensor electronics properly, you're actually cleaning a piece of glass in front of your sensor. I don't see why not, but I can't say I'm all for it, but in a pinch, sure. Just don't use glass cleaner. Okay. For those of you that use on-camera flashes, and you like to use modifiers like softboxes and domes and reflectors and gels, I'll be all sorts of creative. Previous versions, or not versions, previous modifiers would include like a Gary Fong or a Rogue Flash Bender, or going back some time to what was called a Stoffen Omni Bounce, which was like that softbox you would Velcro to your flash. So sometimes we'd in some old flashes that still have the fuzzy part of the Velcro still attached. This is the MagMod system. This is a starter kit. You get it's a rubber piece that you just pull over and put in front of your flash, and everything else is magnetized. Pop it on, pop it off real quick. You don't have to sit there and Velcro. You don't have to sit there and play with rubber bands. If you have a round-headed flash, like the Westcott FJ80, the Profoto A1, A10s, or the Godox V1s, and you already have the MagMod system, get a different grip. This piece right here, they came up with a grip version 2, which is good for the round heads. If you've got a square head, standard grip 1 totally works fine. But if you've got one of these new round-headed flashes, make sure you're using grip 2, because if you use grip 1 on a round-headed flash, you'll probably start to like tear, because at some point it's kind of pretty thin. Yes.
Yeah. I go back to the times when magnets would play hell with floppy disks, hard drives, watches, and all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in our camera system that we have to worry at all about magnets?
So these are earth magnets, so they do not affect anything camera-wise, and they don't affect memory cards. That'd be about the only thing that they would affect. However, if you have an old horseshoe magnet floating around the house, or you have like a 3-foot tall speaker with a big honking magnet, okay, that might affect your memory card. So don't put it on top of the speaker and crank it and have a party, because that'll probably scramble it. For those of you who don't do your own printing, Dodds has a photo club. It's $30 for a year. But what that allows you is 20% off of all of our lab services. So if you're doing print competitions, 8x10s I think are normally $4.99. It'd be like like $1 off. And that includes canvas wraps, coffee mugs, anything that our lab basically does in-house. You'll save 20% on. You'll also get 10% off of frames, albums, fresh stock film, which I'll talk about some cool fresh stock film. And if you do your own darkroom printing, 10% off of like darkroom paper and chemistry. Okay. Speaking of film, before I came here, I was actually wandering around with my 2 film cameras. I got 1 roll shot through this and 2 rolls shot through that. Film has been on a slight uptick over the past 5 years, black and white especially. So there's some new films. Kodak has introduced their new Pro Image, slightly warmish in color, but kind of reminds me of like the 1980s Kodak films. Not super warm, but just slightly warm. Cinestill has some new color stuff. There's an 800, there's a 400, which I think, if I didn't put it in my camera, then it's in my bag. And a 50 if you like really slow speed stuff. This and this, I'll tell you about in a second. Something special with these. This is Phoenix. This is Ilford's first color film. Same guys that do black and white, they made a color. Okay, 200 speed. The catch between these two, this is a slightly different, like a little bit thinner of a base. So our machines can make the negatives, but for some reason our printing machine does not like these negatives. So kind of a catch-22. We can scan them, but it gets a little bit more expensive, but getting prints off of Cinestill is a little tricky. Yes? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll get back to this one in a second because this one really messes with our machines. This is Ilford's SFX black and white. It is a semi-infrared. So if you've ever seen the kind of like the ghostly black and white or the ethereal type black and white images, if you've Googled black and white images, something like this is pretty much what's doing it. Now, if you shoot it normally, it's just kind of like a high contrast black and white. If you shoot it with a red filter or ideally an infrared filter, you really get that ghostly, spooky type look to it. So here's the catch-22 to Phoenix. Ilford makes black and white film. They never really made color. The difference is everybody else's color film is a brown-based negative. If you've ever seen a negative, they're pretty much brown. Black and white negatives are kind of grayish. This is a color image on the gray base. Rains havoc on our machine because it's trying to print color and it's tuned for a brown base, not the gray base. So I've got one or two rolls of this myself. I'm going to probably shoot it up. I'll probably just have the negatives developed and I'll just scan them in myself on my scanner and play with them in Photoshop or whatever. But just beware if you want to play with some of the, I'll call them experimental films, film photography project, a couple other companies make them. Be aware we may not be able to print them. Okay. Batteries and battery chargers. So some cameras now can charge in camera. Great. But if you have more than one battery, you can't charge more than one battery at a time. So we do have replacement chargers, or this is a twin charger. It'll charge two at a time. Or on certain batteries, these are USB-C charged batteries, which means I take the cable that is included, plug the battery in, and plug it into one of those sockets that you might have for your cell phone. It has its own built-in charger. So now I don't need to carry around a random charger. Usually for the most common batteries, Nikon's ENEL15, which is a Z8 compatible, LPE6, which is a lot of the Canon mirrorless cameras, Fuji, Olympus, and actually the battery it's a Sony type NP battery running that light right there. Okay. Because I see the prints, I'm gonna cursory pass through the lights. If you want to know more afterwards, great. And then while they're getting set with the judges, I have some freebies. Okay. Can't have the filters. So one of the things that Dodds does is rent gear. Typically we have Canon, Nikon, Fuji medium format, Sony, some cine stuff, some video stuff. This is my card and a free $25 voucher towards any rental. Most lens rentals are $25 to $45. So you might get a free rental, or maybe you got to still pay another $5 or $10 out of it. My card attached. Grab one of these. Everybody gets one of those. Everybody gets a free Panasonic cleaning cloth. Then I have a few shirts from Ceramonic, some polos from Panasonic, another T-shirt from another lighting company, some buttons and some stickers. So I'm going to talk about the lights for about 2-3 minutes, and then come get some freebies. Okay. Reflectors. The lights basically are my personal lights. So you kind of see that, yes, I use the stuff that I talk about. But as far as, there are bigger reflectors, there are smaller reflectors. I kind of like this size. It's big enough that I can get nice wide coverage, but it's not so big that I need a stand and a bracket to hold it. This is a 5-in-1, so silver, white reflective, white translucent, negative fill, and gold. So these lights have been on all the time. The ProMaster Unplugged LED, which is the first one there, daylight balanced, constant light, battery operated, AC power is optional. The one right behind it in the red casing is their strobe, just the modeling lights on right now. Again, battery powered, AC power is optional. We've got limited stock on them. That kind of comes in that roller case that we see over there. My wife's ProMaster carbon fiber tripod, nice lightweight, a little lighter weight than my 8-year-old Vanguard. I like my Vanguard because I sometimes do copy work, and I like it because the head column comes out, and I can swing it out and I can shoot straight down. So if I'm got a piece of artwork on the floor on some gray seamless, I can shoot down rather than try to frame it and get everything all lined up. And then ProMaster has the RGB panels. As you can see, it's kind of been rotating. This one, this is the two light outfit. This one comes with the power supply, 2 stands. Batteries are optional, but these are the bigger USB-C chargeable 10,000 milliamp battery. So basically I got 20,000 milliamps worth of juice. And at full blast, this thing's gonna run this light for 12 hours. I mean, these batteries, now granted, these are like $100 batteries. And I only have enough to operate one light. If I want to pull out my other one, I got to plug it into the wall. Any other questions? Yeah.
The built-in charger on battery, like
Yeah.
Canon with ours, they give enough capacity. It's got the same size, they give capacity up.
The Canon LPE6 NH, I think, is 2,200 milliamps. This is 2150, so just a smidge. It's pretty much the same, but if you take a look, there's the USB-C connector. They give you a cable, but any USB-C will work. The Canon battery is, I know the Nikon one's like $78 versus 60. The Canon one I think is 69 versus 60. So, yeah, I mean sometimes it's a couple bucks cheaper. Sometimes it's a lot cheaper. The Fuji one I think is $80, but the ProMaster one is like 49. So, nothing wrong with I can't say third-party batteries, but I would watch some of the weird brands. I heard you talk about that earlier. Yeah, that's a nice camera.
And the battery, you have to plug the camera into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a battery, an external battery that you can use for that?
Yeah, you can get one of these. This will charge 2 batteries at once through USB. Or, you plug it into your car's USB port or one of the, things that you plug your phone into. And this will charge 2 batteries at once. These are like $25. So yeah, you can get,
They have those in the solar.
they should. If you visit the Solon store, it's a smaller store. It's probably about as big as this club room. The Cleveland store is about 8 times bigger. So we have stuff that the Solon store does not have just because of room. If you like to visit that store, Deb, who's been with Dodds for 25, 26 years, I'll call him Big Mike because there's a little Mike. Mike Carson has been with Dodds for like 35 years. I hit 30 back in December. So that store, just between those two, there's like 65 years worth of experience. They can usually get stuff from us in a day or two. So if you don't mind saying, hey, I need a charger for my Olympus OM1, if they don't have it, say, sure. Next delivery day, which is Tuesday, we'll have one for you. Or you can come up and visit me at the Cleveland store. And then these are just my cameras. When I do the bodies, flashes, bodies, lenses, and flashes on my in March, I will probably have my cameras also. I may not have this one. This is the Pentax monochrome. This, I'll probably have to send this back before then. This shoots only black and white. Why would you only want to shoot black and white? Because I can only shoot raw black and white. So if you've played with color in raw, this is black and white raw. Your tonality is now gone from this much to this much. The only other all black and white censored camera is a Leica monochrome, and you're going to spend like $8,000 versus maybe 1,800. Any other questions? All right, come get your goodies.
Okay, for the people at home, for the people in the audience, yes, let's give a round of applause to Eric. Don't rush the stage for the merch. Don't get injured there. For the people at home, yes, we are going to just get our prints set up. I am just going to angle this over to where the judges will be sitting. Okay, and we will, for the people at home, we will get set up for the prints. Just hang in there.
Now you're hot. Now you can tap it. Tap it. Hold it. Come on green.
Okay.
Now tap it.
Test.
Okay, I think we're going to get ready to get underway. If everyone could assume their seats, and we'll get set. Okay, tonight is our B competition, print, and we will start off with I will introduce you to Marge Brady, who is in charge here, and also then we'll introduce the judges.
Hi, everybody. My name is Marge. I'm the bee competition chairperson, and thank you all for coming tonight. We had about 33 entries, so that was really, really good. And for those of you who are new to competition, we have two different types of competition. We have the regular competitions, which are judged by outside judges. There's 12 competitions a year, and they're broken up into pictorial and specialty pictures. But the bee competition, we have 4 competitions a year, and they're judged by CPS members, and they're pictorial, so anything that you want to put in goes. And just to review, there's 3 judges. Each judge will judge in 3 areas: composition, technique, and impact, or the wow factor of the picture. And they can give each of these categories up to 3 points for a total score of 9. So a perfect score is 27, and if you get a 27, then you're not allowed to compete in beginners again. So I just wanted to add in, just for future reference, that it's very important to label your photos in the correct way, and the way you want your picture to be displayed, the label should go on the upper left-hand corner. So for example, this picture could probably go any number of ways, but the photographer wanted it to go this way, so it's the upper corner. So we had a couple pictures tonight that were kind of hard to figure out which way they were supposed to go, but the judges did their best. So just remember that. And also, not to beat a dead horse, but your title of your photo should not be more than 30 characters because it won't fit. You know, if you win the picture of the year, it's not going to fit on a plaque or, you know, on a label. So just bear that in mind. Does anybody have any questions? So our three judges will give you their opinions on your photos and in a helpful and constructive manner. They are here to help you learn and to help you become a better photographer, unlike some of our outside judges who are a little tougher. So, but a lot tougher. So, but nobody here will say, don't ever pick up a camera again. So I will let the judges introduce themselves. And just to mention that our last bee competition of the year is in 4 weeks on March 8th, and that will be a projection competition. Any questions? Well, good luck, everybody.
Okay, we'll have our judges just a brief introduction, who they are. Bill, we'll start off with you.
Hello, I'm Bill Keaton. I've been a member here for, I think, 13 years now. I used to be head of the competition committee. Dave in the back there took that job over. I started in photography as a high school yearbook photographer. From there, I did a mass-produced portraiture. I owned a studio for a short period of time. Graduated OSU in 1978 as a journalist. Did photojournalism for a while. Great job, pays bad. Went on to become an air traffic controller, and when I retired from air traffic control, that's when I got a passion again for photography, and I've been doing it ever since.
Is this thing working? Yeah, it says it's green. I'm Dan Lester. I've been a member here since 2017, I think. I'm just not a professional, of course. I'm just an average photographer like most of you. Nothing like you. I don't have a resume that big. I took up photography in earnest when I retired in 2017. Other than that, I was just taking pictures whenever I could. Anyway, you all did a good job tonight.
My name is Donna Schneider. I've been a member since 2011, so we're all on sort of the same time frame. I took photos my entire life, but when I retired, did my 30 years as an engineer, and then I decided I wanted to do something more fun. So I got back into photography. So I've been taking a lot of classes, and I teach the composition portion of the fundamentals class here.
Okay, thank you. So with that, let me turn down the lights,
Right.
and we'll bring up on the screen our first image.
I like the composition of this, and it's a great use of color. The only thing that's a little bit unsettling is the lower left. The umbrellas don't look like they fit in with everything else. But other than that, it's a nice job. Again, I like the subject. You handled it well.
This is Asian Lantern Festival by Wendy Kohler, 23 points, second place.
All right, this is a picture, of course, of a surfer who is about to get wet. The composition, I think it could be cropped in a little bit from the left. There's a little bit too much empty space on the left side of the picture. But other than that, it's very well done.
And this is Practice Makes Perfect, right? By Diane Glatzer, 22 points, third place.
Okay, flowers. Very a nice color, and you you picked a time to take the photo with the water drops, which gives it added interest. Composition-wise, you might think about, I don't know if you shot it in a vertical, so I could see a little more, because the flower, tapers down, it would taper down to a finer point at the bottom. And if you flipped it around, it would give it a little more, I think it would improve the composition a bit.
And this photo is Rock Trumpet by Wendy Kohler, 19 points.
Very colorful scene, good use of the color. Composition's a little bit static in that the building's pretty centered. You might want to look at some way to offset that a little bit. The foreground's a little cluttered, but it does have some nice leading lines that takes you into the building.
And this is Gloucester, Massachusetts City Hall by Diane Glatzer, 20 points.
This is a really, really good picture of this cat. The only criticism I have is that they chopped off the ears on the top. If you could have gone back a little bit farther and got the whole face and ears in it, it would have been quite a bit better, I believe.
And this is Olivia by Wendy Kohler, 20 points.
Okay, this is a landscape. It looks like it might have been taken from the water on a foggy day. Technically, you might have brightened it up a little bit. I know it's foggy, but the whole thing has a pretty, it's pretty dark. Also, composition-wise, the whole bottom doesn't give you a lot of interest. So maybe cutting off a little bit of the water, or looking at it at a different angle would help a little bit. But it's interesting. You captured the fog. That's great.
And the title is Fog on the River by Roger Karp, 18 points.
You captured some interesting fall color in this that really, makes the photograph. The bushy trees contrast with the lines of the building. The top, you're really pushing the top with that cross. You might want to think about giving it a little bit more breathing room. And when I looked at it in a judging, I got the feeling the whole thing has a slight rightward lean. You might want to take a look at that and make sure you have your vertical lines straight.
This is The Old Gray Church by Elaine Joseph, 23 points, second place.
A day at the beach. It's very well composed. The only thing that I might do, and again, I'm not a professional, but I might move it over so that the footprints start in the corner and go into the picture instead of starting in the middle on the bottom there. But otherwise, it's pretty well done.
And this is Footsteps by Roger Karp, 20 points.
So if I'm right, this is Marblehead. It's either sunset or at dawn, somebody was up. It's structured well. What I would like, there's no leading line to that lighthouse, but there's a potential, because I see a path there. So if you would maybe backed up a little bit and brightened up the path, so you want the viewer to be able to walk into the photo. But nice colors.
This is Light Up My Life by Elaine Joseph, 21 points, honorable mention.
This has great form and lines. I think you captured the moment really well. It's just unfortunate that you had the back of the person, and in a sports shot like this, again, we get a feeling of the action, but so much of that is often the face and expression of the athlete, and we kind of miss out on that there. I know that you can't take it from the other angle, but it's something to think about next time. Try to look for opportunities where you can capture the faces of the athletes.
And the title is This Is How You Do It by Diane Glatzer, 21 points, honorable mention.
All right. This is a nice foggy day or morning. Could even be afternoon, I don't know. But it is very well composed. The trees on both sides lead you right into the middle of the picture. And I like this one.
And the title is Peace and Serenity by Elaine Joseph, 23 points, second place.
I'm going to add nice use of a square format. So many people forget about that.
So when I look at this picture, I'm sure there's a story here, and it's not capturing or giving me enough information to see what they're looking at and what's going on. So you've got this beautiful building, but we've got these two people looking off to the right. And so I think it makes it a little difficult for the viewer to know what the story is. And you got to think about it. Your title will probably tell us what the story is, but the viewer doesn't always get the title, and so you need to make sure you have the elements in your photo that tell you the story.
And the title is New Commander, Naval War College by Craig Allen, 18 points.
Another foggy picture and a nice use of the leading lines of the railroad tracks. It's a little flat though, and it's one of these pictures that you see a lot of, so the impact goes down a little bit. And I just mentioned the use of the square format. I think if you made this into a square and cropped off the left side, it would have more impact and make you feel closer to the train.
And this is The Busy Berea Tracks by Lance Mayer, 20 points.
It's a nice shot of our bald eagle. I don't know, I guess this could be at the zoo. Well, again, in my opinion, the bird should be over to the right because he's looking left, and you should leave more room above the head. So maybe back up a little bit, or if you crop this in, don't crop it so much.
And this is Bald Eagle at the Zoo by Katie Brace, 19 points.
So this is Squire's Castle. Really nice composition. I like the way, see how the trees are leading, 1, 2, 3, lead you right back to the castle. It looks like it's sunset, it's got a pretty sky, but it's a little flat. So we need to I think, need to be brightened up and maybe a little more contrast. But really nicely done in terms of composition. Really like it.
And this is Squire's Castle by Steph Simpson, 21 points, honorable mention.
Shooting up into the sky, I will say that your exposure is really good on this. Skies can be tricky. But the subject to me is the life is good sign, maybe the Newport hanging off of it. But you got this light in front of it that just kind of distracts from the sign itself. If you could find some way to not have that light cut into your sign, it would be a much better composition. And I think it could go a little tighter because those letters in the lower right corner compete with the sign and you bounce back and forth because they're so large. I think I would do something about a little tighter or crop those out.
And the title is Life is Good, Kinda, by Craig Allen, 17 points.
This is a well-composed picture of a horse and buggy in motion. Not much I can say about it. I presume the road is going downhill, so it's, except for you might have used the fastest shutter speed if you were trying to catch the, get the horse in really sharp, in a really sharp image. But if you were going for motion, then you probably could have used an even slower shutter speed.
And the title is Flying in Holmes County by Lance Mayer, 21 points, honorable mention.
Okay, we have a flamingo here. I would suggest that maybe you would crop in closer. You've got a lot of distractions up on the right-hand corner. You've got a really interesting curve with the neck and the way the feathers are, so you might even crop it down pretty tight in order to really focus on that. Because right now, my eye's distracted by the orange thing on the top and the feathers on the side.
This is Itchy Flamingo by Katie Brace, 18 points.
This is a reasonable composition. You've done well using your depth of field to blur the background and still keep the, what are those? Milkweed, thank you. To keep the milkweed in focus. To me, it's a little dark, and I would work, if you know how to do so in Photoshop or whatever you're using, I would lighten the whites a little bit because it just has a little bit of a drab appearance. But otherwise, it was a nice choice of aperture, and the milkweeds are very sharp. So in all those respects, very good. Lighten up your whites just a little bit.
And this is Dogbane Seed Pot and Seeds by Robert Anderson, 20 points.
Great picture of the three kids. The only thing I can say is there is a lot going on in this photograph. The water on the right side doesn't do much for it, and the old bricks, they're okay, I guess. I would make this a portrait instead of a landscape and cut out most of the water and then maybe cut off some of the top, bring it in a little closer.
And this is Siblings Forever by Craig Allen, 17 points.
I just want to make a comment. So one of the things you want to think about is simplicity. So you should look at like all the elements and just like he was saying, and take out the things that don't do anything for your picture. If you could look out on the board, there's very simple pictures. They're not very complex. Okay, so simplicity. There's a lot going on in this picture. I don't know which. There's several. It's great to catch the water drops. I'm a water drop person too, but there's so many on there. I don't know where I'm supposed to be looking. So maybe cropping down. There's 3 on the top there. You could take a small segment of that out, or there's a bunch over here on the right. But when there's so much, your eye doesn't know where to go, and it gets distracted by everything. So the simpler you can make the picture, the better.
And this is Pink Fishing Line with Dew by Robert Anderson, 17 points.
Okay. Okay. Whoever composed and lit this, I commend you as a beginner. You did a very nice job with this. Donna was just talking about simplicity, and that's been reduced to just simple lines, but you get a feel for the strength of the person. I like the fact it's in black and white. It is a touch flat. There is no real black. And when you do a black and white, you should try to have a rich black somewhere as a general rule. And the other thing that I would do with this, if you know how to dodge and burn, that light on the right shoulder is a little bright. I wouldn't take it out, but I would burn it down a little bit so it's not a distraction, because it's out by itself, and you got this really nice arc of the arms and the face, but you got that one white area off to the right, so tone that down so your eyes don't go there. But overall, as a beginner, this is a very nice job.
And this is titled Summoning One's Strength by George Klepitz, 20 points.
Okay, this is a picture of, I guess, an old toolbox. Very well composed. It's just, in my opinion, it's a little too dark. Again, you should try and lighten up the whatever that is on the left-hand side, and make it, at least as bright as the thing in the background. But it's very well composed.
And this is Carl's Grandfather's Tools by Lance Mayer, 21 points, honorable mention.
So I get the birds. So this is the cardinal, and this, and I think there's a, I think this is another case where there's a lot going on in the picture, right? That may not contribute to the story that you want to tell. So again, maybe you crop it down from the top and from the right and from the top, come down. Also, I'm not quite sure, the bird, I can't tell if it's not sharp or we need some clarity there because it's a little muted. But good capture, because it's hard to get them sometimes.
And this is Cardinal in a Tree by George Klepitz, and sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, and 17 points.
I like, Donna again was talking about simplicity. This has a lot of elements, but they're similar and it has a simple feel to it. It's a great subject for black and white. It has some nice rich blacks to it. The one board that's lighter, that's white, is centered, and that detracts a little bit because that would seem to be where your eye gets drawn first, and you try not to center your subjects in the photograph. Otherwise, I do like the simplicity. I like the black and white. Again, for doing a beginner's class, I think this is a very nice job.
And this is titled Used to Be Ebony and Ivory by Robert Anderson, 19 points.
I'm going to add one little thing. Again, think about different formats, and I actually have this with me. If you cropped off the left side through here, now you'd have a square format which kind of implies stability, and it would take that out of the center, and I think that might improve the photograph.
This is a very well done portrait of, I guess, a thinking man. I don't know what he's actually doing, but you could have left a little more on top of his head and give him a little more room. But other than that, it's a very well done portrait. Nice job.
This is The Farmer by George Klepitz, 23 points, second place.
We had some discussion of which way this is going, but we're matching that. So we have some kind of ape here. It's actually, actually this composition this way is really, I like it better than that, the other way. I mean, because now he's holding on up there and he's like looking at me in the face. Was a little confused by the fur that's on the left, down here on the right-hand corner, but, and it tells a story, and it's good. It's simple. There's not anything there that doesn't need to be there. Nice job.
And the title is Thoughts by Amy Rudowitz, 21 points, honorable mention.
I think it's much better that way.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, the other composition didn't.
Okay, this is a nice high-key photo of a dark dog, and that's a little bit of the disadvantage of this. You have a very dark subject against that bright white background, and the white tends to pull your eyes everywhere else. Everything's sharp about it. I like what you did and how you arranged this. That shows a bunch of creativity. I would think about a little bit different or darker background that would give you an opportunity to lighten up the dog a little bit if you did that. It's something to play with. I'm guessing you did this on roll paper, so if you have a neutral gray paper or something like even a Old Masters brown, it might be something to play with and see if it would make the dog stand out a little bit more.
And this is Hugs and Kisses by Rochelle Kovacs, 20 points.
This is a very nice portrait of a turkey, I guess it is. The only thing that I can't even say that the background is blurred very nicely, so you used the right aperture. It seems to be exposed very well. You got the eyes nice and crystal clear. Very well done.
Before you go, I think if you cropped, it'd be better maybe if you cropped off a little bit on the left. You need to give him, okay, let's see. On the bottom? On the bar. Okay, so right around here, you need to give him enough space, but this is a lot of dead space. I mean, he's beautifully taken. It's very nicely done, but I would just crop it about right there. Make it more of a portrait, right? Or a square.
And this is Eat More Beef by Amy Rudowitz, 21 points, honorable mention.
No, I do, unfortunately. Okay, so here's a dog. He's really like in your face. I think that's why I would title it, In Your Face. It's a biscuit being thrown at him. And unfortunately, I mean, it's really nicely done, but his nose is sharp, but his eyes aren't. And when you're taking a portrait, whether it be a dog or a person, the eyes are what really needs to be sharp. So as because he was such in your face, maybe you could have, focused on his eyes, but actually a little increased your f-stop so you could have a little more depth of field.
And this is titled Treat Catch by Rochelle Kovacs, 21 points, honorable mention.
Okay, Snowy Owl in the snow. So not only did they get a nice portrait of the bird, they had to go out in inclement weather and do that, so a tip of the hat for you. This is very well composed. Exposure's good. You have detail on all the whites, which is what you want. Yeah, frame it and put it on the wall.
And this is Soul Piercer by Amy Rudowitz, and this is our number one picture at 25 points.
And that concludes our entries for tonight.
And if anybody would like to speak to the judges, they would welcome your thoughts.
Yes.
Just don't throw any tomatoes at them.
Yes, so thank you very much for all those that entered, and thank you very much all for coming.